Hey guys, happy week 2 for your vocab. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I hope y'all have had an awesome Labor Day weekend. And here you go. So our first adjective is banal, and that means commonplace and stale, either not fresh or trite, insipid. So it's like a negative connotation for what is usual or base. Okay, so that could also be turned into a noun for banality. So banal, overused phrases and words are so numerous that it's hard to avoid them. Those of us who work on the Times cut these banalities from every article every time. So this word is basically just used to describe something that is not the best definition. Our next adjective is terse. So stripped of all but the essentials, concise or succinct, sometimes to the point of rudeness. When you need encouragement, a terse response is disappointing. And so terse is like if somebody is really short with you when they're being rude. Our next noun is a raconteur, which is a gifted talker or a storyteller. It comes from the French word meaning like to tell. And so in some classes, my English class read The Importance of Being Earnest by Oscar Wilde, a talented playwright, poet, and raconteur who, because he was so amusing, was a popular guest at elitist parties. So we all have that one friend that can just entertain everybody else and just talk for days and take something that is really simple and turn it into a beautiful story. They would be a raconteur. Our next noun is a euphemism. The use of like a nice word or phrase instead of an offensive or really honest one. And so the word or phrase is used, it's like a saying. Another euphemism, the soldiers are either in the dressing station or they are pushing up daisies. And so obviously pushing up daisies is a nice way to say that they are buried underground. Okay, not exactly nice, but it's nicer than saying that they are dead. So you guys have heard many euphemisms. Our next adjective is succinct. So that's brief, to the point, concise, pithy, or terse. So these are similar to each other. Some critics favor the taut, succinct writing style of Hemingway or Cather. I enjoy a more colloquial style like Mark Twain's Huckleberry Finn. And succinct, just like the adjective says, that just means brief. Our next adjective is hackneyed. So banal, overused, commonplace, or trite. The hackney was a breed of horse used to pull the old public coaches in England. From their regular boring routine came the words hackneyed. Our next noun is bombast. So high flown or pompous. That could also mean arrogant. So the windy, bombastic mayor of our town likes to give speeches. Whenever he comes to school, this bard of a bombast yaks away one empty paragraph or another. So these people that think they're high and mighty or really arrogant, they are considered bombastic. We know what this word means from the first day of school. So articulate or to articulate actually is the verb. To speak in a clear, effective way, clear and effective in manner, also jointed or marked off. Okay, so this is another weird definition or weird aspect of the definition. Like a beetle has articulated segments, very separate segments of their body. So that means everything is cleared, marked off. Or if any of y'all have ever been in an airport and you've seen that the awesome thing about an airport is that the signs tell you exactly where to go. There's not a ton of room for error. That means they're very articulate. Next adjective is laconic, using as few words as possible or concise. The old Greek Spartans from the areas Laconia were big deed doers, not talkers, and came to be known as laconic folk. So that's the origin of this word. You all probably have that friend too that doesn't speak as much as your other friends. Quite like I'm being laconic in this video because I want to get it pushed out to you as soon as possible. Our next noun is hyperbole. So y'all know this word, wild exaggeration, often on purpose for effect. Reading Twain was fun, partly because he uses hyperbole so well. So does the cast on Saturday Night Live. The crazy exaggeration of hyperbole is probably as much fun for the actors as it is for the audience. I love old school SNL. But y'all know hyperbole, this is an easy one. Like, I'm so hungry I could eat a horse. You can't eat a horse. Like an entire one. That would be crazy. Our next noun, a lampoon. Verbal ridicule of a person or personal satire. You think about where you guys have heard this one before. It can also be a verb, which means to ridicule. The cast of SNL creates lampoons of political figures on a regular basis. Our next noun is platitude. A tired, trite old saying, a banality. So remember our old bombastic mayor that we talked about earlier? One reason he's so boring is that he just mouths platitudes, putting his district to sleep. So these are these words that people say over and over again, and they really don't mean anything at all because you've heard them so frequently. Okay, so before we go directly into our stems, you've noticed that a lot of the words from this week are similar or like different versions of the same word. So that should actually help you. We'll talk about that a little bit more with our vocab activities later in the week too. But our stems are also a part of the words that we saw in your vocab this week as well. So let's start with the first one. That is voc or vos, to call. Okay, so vociferous means loudly or persistently vocal, clamorous, the vociferous wail of a hungry baby. Okay, so it's calling out loudly. Equivocal is open to two interpretations, evasive or unclear. So it's open up to two different calls. So a puzzling or equivocal answer. Y'all need to pay attention to these examples so that you could use them potentially on your quiz. So we also have provoke, provocative, vocal, equivocate, evoke, evocative, invoke, invocation, and revoke. Okay, if you all are planning on using some of those, it might be good to look up a couple of those examples that you will remember for your quiz. And for this last one, we have loque or loque and ology. These all kind of mean the same thing, of speech, study of, word, or talk. So eloquent means extremely expressive, a gesture or words, kind of like the lady we saw in our video the first day of school. She's very eloquent. So moving, eloquent speech. And then we have loquacious, extremely talkative, or gabby or garrulous, just meaning that they talk all the time. So you could think of a loquacious parrot that chats constantly. So also we have elocution, soliloquy, colloquial, prologue, epilogue, eulogy, psychology, and biology. The ologies I think are easiest to remember because those are always like the study of. And so you could relate that. Like obviously psychology, study of like psychoanalysis. So that is all of our words and stems for this week. I'm going to go ahead and get this out to y'all. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful rest of your happy Monday. See y'all tomorrow.